All right, at this time, we'll have oral communications. Do we have anybody who'd like to speak before the Garden Grove Housing Authority? Hearing none, we will close oral communications. Commissioner comments? Do we have any comments? Consent items.
Mr. Vice Chair, you have two items, the monthly status report and the minutes from April 26th. And it's recommended that these items be acted on simultaneously.
Entertain a motion. Got a motion? Got a second? Call for the vote.
Motion received, 6 yes votes.
Public hearings, none. Items for consideration, none. Matters from commissioners and director. You know, I am, a lot of times we have people talk to us about housing, and I think under the units of the Section 8 program, how many units do we actually have in that project?
Commissioner Broadwater, we have over 2,300.
2,300. And what exactly is our involvement in that 2,300 units?
We assist very low or extremely low families to rent in the privately owned rental market.
And we contribute to that rent?
Right. Basically, the families pays 30% of their income toward the rent, and then we will pay the difference.
And where do we get these units from?
These are units from the open market, so the rental will be from the privately owned units.
So we participate in that. Where do we get the money from for that?
We are funded by HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and
Okay.
our job is to assist families to rent in the open market.
So we're a transfer.
Right.
Does every city have one of these housing authorities?
In Orange County, we have 4 housing authorities that actually run the Section 8 programs, the city of Garden Grove, city of Santa Ana, and Anaheim. And I believe the rest of the cities, 31 cities, belongs to the Orange County Housing Authority, to the county.
Okay. Well, what's the total amount of money that passes through our hands on this?
Our annual budget is approximately $30 million a year, and I would say more than 90% of that goes to the owners.
And the owners, where do we get these owners from? They get in line for this, or they?
Well, the tenants can go out and find units on their own, and any owners who are interested in renting out to housing tenants are welcome to list the housing with us, housing units with us.
Let me ask you a question. How often do these units get inspected?
Every unit at the new admissions get inspected, and at least once a year they get re-inspected again.
So we are sort of doing something that other cities aren't doing in an affordable housing.
Right. For housing authority, we do go out there, our inspectors go out there and inspect on housing quality standard and to make sure that they're safe and sanitary. And
Do we ever take a home out of it, or tell some
Sometimes.
landlord they're not acceptable, their property's not acceptable?
Yes, we do.
How about the tenants? Do we ever get on the tenants' cases about not keeping the property up?
Yes, we do.
We do all of that, huh?
Yes, we do. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I thank you very much. I just wanted to go through that a little bit. We have nothing else, so at this time we will wrap up the regular housing meeting. Nice meeting you. I'll see you next month. Now you know what we do.
I'd like to call the Garden Grove City Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Councilmember Beard.
Here.
Councilmember Broadwater.
Here.
Councilmember Wynn. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Here.
Mayor Dalton.
Here. We'll have the invocation by Charles Khalil, Information Technology Director, and the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Beard.
Lord, as we meet today to conduct matters concerning our community, we humbly ask that you guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Lord, we ask that you impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion and that your will be done. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
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 Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I see we have a presentation.
Yes, I think she's ready to go. You're up. Supervisor Janet Wynn.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. It's always an honor for me to be back at home. Not that I leave anywhere. I live in Garden Grove. But it's always nice to be here in the chamber. This is where I started. And then so it's always exciting. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about why I'm here and the reason why it's important, and actually our appreciation from OCTA to your council and to your staff. As you are aware, Mayor, you serve with myself and also Mayor Miguel Polito from Santa Ana. We are all three on the OCTA Board of Directors representing the 1st District. I am pleased tonight to present a proclamation to the City of Garden Grove for its leadership in partnering with OCTA to deliver the transportation improvement promise to the voters in Measure M. As you know, Measure M is Orange County half-cent sales tax for transportation improvements. Measure M sunsets on March 31st, which also gives us an opportunity to reflect on its accomplishment to city and benefits to residents. Measure M's success would not have happened without your support, your leadership, and your staff and their dedication to the residents of Garden Grove. Garden Grove was awarded $56 million in Measure M funds. These funds were used to improve and strengthen the city's transportation network, and some of these were the widening and the improvement of the 22 freeway, Tass Avenue widening project, Euclid and Garden Grove intersection project. This sprung for 2 decades, which is in your leadership, Mayor Dalton, and also former Mayor Broadwater's leadership on this council. And so we can't, say thank enough to both of you for your commitment to improving traffic flow, and to this council, previous council, this staff, your staff, to build the transportation legacy that has helped maintain Garden Grove's quality of life and dynamic business environment. And so on behalf of our chair, Patricia Bates from the Orange County Transportation Authority, the entire Board of Directors of OCTA, and our CEO, Will Kempton, we want to thank you for your support and dedication to making sure we keep our promise in addressing the traffic issues throughout the county. And before I hand this over, Mayor, I thank your staff, you, previous council, in helping us. But we can't forget one major body, the residents of Garden Grove. They help approve Measure M with their help, their assistance, willing to make sure that Orange County moves plays a very vital role to the success of Measure M. And so on behalf, again, of OCTA, we want to thank you, the residents of Garden Grove, for your leadership and appreciate the relationship we have, and we will continue to address these issues, even though Sacramento cannot do it for us. We will in Orange County.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll go to oral communications for the council, the agency, and the sanitation district. Ronald Long.
Well, I can't claim to be as good a speaker as she is, but I guess I'm not in her position either. I'm here to speak against the proposed Castor Basin. I'm the technical expert, I guess, on this. I've lived in Garden Grove since 1974. I've lived in the same house on Aspenwood. I do consider myself somewhat of an expert on Twin Lakes Park, having watched it for all these years. It's a wonderful park. As with all parks, when it's first put in, it's not quite so nice. The trees grow up and the grass is green and they get the picnic tables and it's really a nice place. County of Orange owns this property. The park has been run by Garden Grove City, but the County of Orange actually owns that property, and the County of Orange now has decided to convert that property into something called Castor Basin and take away probably the most beautiful park in all of Garden Grove. And if you look over here, it's the only blue spot that's on that map over there is Twin Lakes Park. Anyhow, they plan to dig it deeper, which I'm not grumping about particularly, because perhaps there's more runoff from larger areas and you need a little bigger capacity. But what they're really planning on doing is putting a huge McMansion into a building over behind my property, which affects my property value. And they're going to put 3 gigantic natural gas engines in there to pump the water out of the park, something that for the last 40 years has been occurring naturally and doing a really good job of it. Only one time do I remember a slight overflow, and that was caused by a mattress that got over there and got in the way. And indeed, it overflowed, and about a foot or 18 inches of water went down Garden Grove Boulevard back in 1988. But since then, that park has really been pretty much maintenance-free. There's 2 existing electric pumps there. When it was originally put in, I think they might have even been smaller. And the philosophy, as I see it, was when it rains, the thing fills up, and when it gets above a certain level, the pumps turn on, and they stay on until it gets back down to that level. It's about 7 feet of water in the bottom is where the level used to be. Now, either the City of Garden Grove or somebody has been adjusting those levels up. And now, instead of a nice little mound out in the middle, there's actually an island out there because there's water, and it's really deep. I don't know how the mosquito fish are working there. Anyhow, back to the pumps. I'm a technical person. You people don't understand what one of these pumps is. There's a natural gas engine. It's 5,790 cubic inch engine. Now, when I think of a big engine, I think of a Corvette or something like that that's about 550 cubic inches. This is 5,000 cubic inches. It means it has 12 cylinders. Each one is 8.5 inches, and I think it's got an 8.5-inch stroke. And they burn natural gas. Now, everybody thinks natural gas is a really wonderful thing because it does burn somewhat clean. The problem with natural gas is how they get the natural gas. Natural gas is essentially methane. They mine it, and they put a thing down there and they crack some rocks and they get it out of there. And that actually makes natural gas dirtier than if they burn coal. Coal is actually cleaner. The Edison Electric is doing a better job of generating electricity than people that go around claiming that they have a natural gas engine in their truck or vehicle. These natural gas engines won't be driving around. And not only are they 5,790 some cubic inches, but there's 3 of them. Now, these engines have a 10-inch exhaust. And they're dumping all of this carbon dioxide. And for
Mr.
now,
Long, wrap it
That's
up.
it?
Your time's up, and we'll go to the next person. Okay.
Okay. Anyhow, it's
Okay.
not a clean process.
Thank you. Elaine Long.
Good evening, Mayor Dalton, members of the council, city staff. Tonight I'm returning again to speak to you about the Hastur Retention Basin project, scheduled to completely destroy the community gym that we know as Twin Lakes Freedom
Would you
Park.
reset the clock, please?
So the current proposed plan not only threatens my health, but also that of my neighbors and friends. The pumps that Mr. Long spoke of actually produce a lot more pollution and fine particulate matter, which is the leading cause of asthma for both adults and children and the elderly. And we are asking for very little. We're only asking that you, the city council, as civil servants elected by the citizens of our city, investigate and then call for the rejection of this project. To keep the project from moving forward, a resolution made by you, members of the City Council, is all that is needed to restart the planning process in a way that will actually meaningfully include members of the community, because we were never told anything about the project until literally people closest to the proposed pump house facility were sent a packet in the mail. Those were the only people in the community informed. We ask for the same consideration of our wants and needs rather than complete callous disregard of our health and living conditions. We already know that you guys are completing this community participation process with another park within the city, as was mentioned last week. And the Hastur Basin Plan, EIR number 609, is found on the OC Flood Control website, www.ocflood.com, /NFC_design_Hastur ASPX. It violates both AB 32 and SB 375. AB 32 is the assembly bill that limits the amount of greenhouse gases to 1990 level. The pump house facility alone would exceed that level even for operating only 3 days, say during a major storm event, by an extreme amount. It would be a hotspot. Basically, they would be putting into effect a hotspot within the community that would be the equivalent of about 16 cars, or excuse me, 16 350 horsepower cars, trucks, whatever. So what we would like instead is to institute something much more environmentally friendly and cost-effective, very simple, to fix the electrical grid to run electrical pumps, which are silent, no need for noise mitigation, which as the electrical grid becomes more influxed with environmentally cleaner energy, would become a more cleaner option if this pump house facility is going to exist within our backyards for the next 50 years. Also, we ask that residents' wishes be adhered to more strongly in the planning process and requesting that no organized sports are instituted on site. Instead, we prefer to have an open field space rather than having the county spend money on soccer-only fields or deal with trash, nuisance noise complaints, and traffic problems. What we need from you is simply your agreement and condemnation of the plan that has been imposed on us without meaningful community involvement or consultation at all through a resolution against the project. We will be also asking the City of Orange for its refusal of the project, since a good deal of the residents within that city also enjoy using the park. Please commit to investigating and complying with what we feel are very reasonable requests in regards to this particular project and this particular plan. Thank you very much.
Susan Young, or excuse me, Long.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking to you. I'm afraid I also object to the project that has been proposed to us as the local residents. That neighborhood, I too have lived there for 30 years. It has been a homeowner-occupied neighborhood. It is multicultural. And if you are in our backyard and watch people going by in the park, and that is every 15 seconds, that is the truth. Every 15 seconds, someone walks by. And I have friends. I've walked in that park for 30 years, and I say hello and greet them. This building, which I visited with my neighbor, Tang Nguyen, last summer, it was a facility in Fountain Valley to show us just what this was. It is a major statement. That Fountain Valley facility is in an industrial area. This proposed facility is right in our neighborhood, right there. So major impact, even if they do put little decorations and such on the outside. I mean, it's a major building. It would be very high, like a big, huge 3-story apartment building. So I find it hard to accept that within 50 feet of homes there, and my neighbor does have asthma. And I'm sure they're not the only ones that these big, huge, when they turn on. And when it rains, where does this bad air go? Right down. Right down, all over the neighborhood. Fortunately, in Garden Grove, we have ample places where people can play soccer. People do have pickup games in that park. People are there at 7 a.m. on a Saturday or Sunday to get the tables so they can have family celebrations. It is a well-used park. What we need are more picnic areas in there for the people. But, so there's the health impact, the neighborhood impact, the property value impact for the whole of our neighborhood, those on the far side to the north of the water and those to the south. 16 trucks sitting there spewing bad chemicals shoved down our throats, basically. Is this appropriate? I think we need to re-examine the project as proposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a reset that. Okay, Robert Phil.
Hi, I'm Robert Thill. I work at Broadwater Insurance at 9421 Chapman. There's a medical marijuana unit right next to our office, 52 feet away from a daycare. We took them to Orange County Superior Court, spent $25,000 out of our pocket, and the court said, no, you're not a city. You can't enforce the city ordinance. So I'm asking to see what we can do because it's not anything to do with medical. 99.9% of the people that show up there are 5 people in a car under 25 years old. They defecate in our parking lot. They urinate in the driveway. I mean, you'd have to look at our video over a period of time. It's very frustrating. Property value of that building that my son and Philip Broadwater own probably is zero. I can't sell it if we wanted to. It'd be too expensive to move. You know, everybody's concerned about giving people low rent. Everybody's worried about high emissions, what you're talking about here. But this is really a weird thing. The city gets nothing from this. They're not getting any tax income. They're not getting any positive feedback. They're not producing a good product. You know, I'm also an almond farmer. I spend a lot of money growing almonds so I can sell my product and have a good, healthy product for the public. I just don't get this. And it has nothing to do with the Garden Grove political system. The state of California set this up tax-free, nonprofit. It's like the Church of Marijuana. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I know maybe your hands are tied, but if you guys can help us in any way, I've spent my 25 grand. I don't know what else to do. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy Bergen.
Good evening, everyone, and I want to start out with some very cheerfully little things up here. Basically, last Monday, I was at the House Beautiful Awards, and the house my group chooses never wins, but that's okay. The people were thrilled to be selected as one of the 17 or 20, 32 finalists or whatever our groups are. They said that her mother had lived in the house and has died, but gardening was her life, and to be selected for this just made them both thrilled witless, and I was able to talk to them and say, when we drove by your house, both of us said, whoa, that house is just a little jewel. So they were very thrilled with that. It's a wonderful event. It makes people very proud of their houses, and it makes the judges that drive through the cities block by block, slowly, looking like we're going to rob someone or something, but looking at all the houses, appreciate what a nice little town this is. We do have a lot of neighborhoods and a lot of streets and a lot of people that care for their houses. And I want to thank you, Mr. Broadwater, I do say thank you occasionally, for your speedy little report on the Housing Authority. It brought to mind a lot of things that they do and are involved in, and I do know people that have profited from those, let's say, rent share agreements, so they've been able to get their lives back on track. So that's a wonderful thing our city participates in, and it's a lot of hard work. I know anytime you have to inspect, check, and do that. So thank you very much, though, for letting us know exactly what's going on there. And I do have a question. Just last weekend, near my house at Partridge and Garden Grove Boulevard, which is basically right across the street from Garden Grove Hospital, there was a Asian market there, and I think before that there was just a kind of a general market. Then it got fenced in with the screening, and last weekend it was knocked down. The whole building was. There's a big crane there taking away parts now. I was just wondering if anyone knows what's going up there or what's happening there, because there's no sign outside, like a builder is going to, starting such and such a thing. And it was kind of a surprise, because first I noticed it was fenced off, and then I noticed it was knocked down. So the third or fourth one here is, I was very surprised with his comment on medical marijuana. I believe that was on Chapman, because also right around the corner from my neighborhood, and I had no idea what it was, just this little Pollyanna sees this little green cross on a sign at the street. I didn't know anything about it, and my kid said to me, "Oh yeah, you didn't know that means medical marijuana?" I said, "No." And next door to that as well is a daycare center. So I find this kind of surprising, 2 daycare centers next to medical marijuana places, and this is going into right about half a block from the only street we as residents can go in and out of my house to. So I would have think someone in that neighborhood would have been notified that this was being approved. Because somehow that's not, we've been living around the corner for years from one of our adult bookstores, which has brought a lot of interest and different groups of people. And now about a block from there, now we have a medical marijuana facility. I find that kind of not too cool. I mean, we can't even get a restaurant down there or a fast food restaurant on that street that we as residents would want to go to. Now just getting to the agenda for today. On the sanitary district, we have, let me see, to provide professional engineering services for a project. The project will be, I'm assuming it's the new sewer replacements that are going in. Why are we as a city having to pay $142,000? And I don't care if it's coming out of sanitary funds or the regular budget. It's coming out of our citizens' pockets. If I want to start a project to do something, I would have to pay to find out what I have to do, what it takes, and all that. But we're paying and getting the project organized, then we're going to hire somebody else to do it. Because I do know at $142,000 and sewer replacement, that would only give us about 2 feet of sewer. So we're paying to have somebody analyze what needs to be done. I thought we already knew what had to be done. We paid someone a few years ago to go through and take pictures of all of this. So I would think they'd be still working off those reports. I just don't understand why we have to pay somebody to tell somebody else what the job has to be done. I would assume that would be part of the job they're doing. And then on the city council, just ending up, Atlantis Park, I noticed that we're approving a water play splash pad at Atlantis Park. Now that is a place I went with my children, and I will speed this up, when they were young, and they are quite grown up now. So it's been quite a few years. Atlantis has been this little oasis for children and parents. You pay in a minimal fee, you go in, and your children are safe. You can sit at the tables near the front, and your kids can go play. Now all of a sudden we're putting in a splash pad, we're putting in water, possible accidents, water. Your kids won't be contented just to play quietly. Why do we always feel we have to take out grass and put in cement here? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fat Bowie.
Good evening, Mayor Danton and member of the City Council. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate my friend, Mr. Chris Bird, on his appointment. We served together on the Planning Commission, and I find him to be very dedicated and committed to helping the business community and very fair in his decision. It's a very well-deserved appointment. I would like to begin by saying I sincerely regret having to use this forum to address this crippling issue. It's not easy for me, but I feel I must and I should, since I was unfairly accused publicly. Councilwoman Dina Nguyen fabricated a statement during the hearing to appoint a new member to fill the vacant seat left by Councilman Andrew Doe 2 weeks ago. In her exact words, I have said, if she doesn't vote for me, the Vietnamese community will look badly upon her. It is absolutely untrue, and the fabricated statement is hurtful and damaging. At this point, I would like to interject here and note that I would like to submit 2 letters from other businessmen who are at the table that night. They attest that they did not hear me saying that statement at all. I understand that this tactics of manipulating the truth is only part of politics. But as a representative of the people, I highly recommend that Councilwoman Dina Nguyen choose her words more carefully in the future to avoid inflicting unnecessary harm and conflicts, and to set better example as a community leaders. I am not a politician, and I may be naive in many aspects of the political arena, but I strongly believe that as a representative of the people, you should possess good ethics and a sincere desire to work with others and for the benefit of others. I also would like to express that I do not appreciate Dina Nguyen's husband contacting me yesterday to discourage me from speaking to the press. I am here today not to dispute how you voted or why you voted the way you did. I'm here to make it clear that the accusation is untrue, and I hope that in the future we will choose our word more cautiously and positively. As a community leader, your words have great impact, and you should want to use that in a positive way. Thank you, Mayor and member of the Council.
Thank you. Trina Nguyen.
Good evening, Mr. Dalton and the council member. Mr. Gary not busy tonight, and he asked me to be here to read his letter to the council. Mayor Dalton and member of the City Council. My name is Gary Tang, CEO and President of Westminster Press Incorporation, a commercial printing business located on 4906 First Street, Santa Ana, for over 25 years. Throughout the years, I have been a major advocate, a supporter for the local politics, and supported for many political candidates, people of all race and color and background. I have known Mr. Fat Boy for 10 years, personally as well as professional, and I'm proud to say that he and I became a good friend and dear friend. I truly value our friendship. With hard work, Fat has become a very successful businessman with great family value. He has impeccable reputation in our community and had known for his generosity and charitable spirits. I have found out that the City of Garden Grove is considering appointing a new member to the council, and Fat Boy expressed his desire to serve as council. I became very excited and eager to support him with his new endeavor. At my suggestion, I immediately contacted Councilwoman Dina Nguyen and set up a dinner meeting so Fat Boy could have the opportunity to share with her some of his experiences and qualifications, and asked her for support on behalf of Fat Boy. She informed me that she will also invite the Westminster City Councilman Andy Quat to attend the dinner. Unfortunately, the restaurant was so noisy. After exchanging pleasantry and not much was discussing about the upcoming appointment for the City Council, I sat between Andy Quat and Fat Boy, and directly across from the table from Dina Nguyen. Fat Boy's manner were pleasant, and the exchanging of words were limited. I and the other businessmen at the table did not hear Mr. Boy said what Dina excused him of. During the dinner, I told the councilwoman Nguyen that Fat Boy was the most qualified candidate, and he would be best suited to represent the community and the City of Garden Grove. It is disturbing and shocking when one of the oldest and the most nominal daily paper in our community printed the translated version of Dina Nguyen's outrageous public accusation about Mr. Fatboy's statement. The accusation was untrue, uncalled for, and without merit. The Vietnamese people here in this land of liberty have a deep appreciation for the newfound freedom and the democracy, and we enthusiastic to get involved in every election. We, the Vietnamese American, enjoy the peaceful and democratic election process that exists in the American culture and American way of life. I was truly happy to see the younger Vietnamese generation getting more and more involved in politics. Unfortunately, some they use their political power and influence to alienate, divide, suppress those that do not serve for further their personal and political agenda. It is destructive and irresponsible, and it discourages people with good intention from entering the political arena. It is very disappointing to see such public display of animosity, no matter what the reason may be. I feel to need to speak out today so the truth can be heard. I humbly suggest that and hope that though in public officer could not use any public forum to serve their own purpose and further their own agenda. I'm thanking the mayor, the city council, the council member for taking time to listen. Truthfully yours.
Okay, are you done?
Yes.
Okay, because you were running out of time. I wanted to make it quick, though. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Rod Powell.
Okay, hi, my name is Rod Powell. I'm a citizen of Garden Grove. I live in Garden Grove, and I'm not happy. I'm not happy, Mayor Dalton, that I was precluded from being able to speak last week, even though I couldn't stay around till later. Oral communications, you let everyone speak about everything in the planet, but you're going to tell us we can't talk about something specific? What's with that? That's a rhetorical question. You know, so where do you get such control, and why? You know, you let them talk about the coffee house. These were things that were for later on, too. You know, it was not that big a deal. A couple people might have made a comment, and you're pushing it way till later about the appointee. You know, I'm not happy about that, but that's done. I even told Kathy that I would speak oral communications. I had a few other things to say, and I wasn't even allowed to get up here about that. You know, I was late where I had to go, staying around to talk, and I ended up leaving, not even being allowed to get up here. So what is that, you know? So I'm happy to see Andrew Doe not up on this platform anymore. He never belonged there in the first place. You know, he was only there for what he hoped would be a leapfrog to a higher political office. When he killed his political future with the Tet Festival, it's a funny thing. Soon thereafter, he's gone from this seat. Isn't that a funny thing? He never belonged there to begin with. He never lived in this city. He maybe technically bought a piece of that house over on Shannon Avenue, but he maintained the house in Santa Ana, which is almost in Tustin, the whole time, and spent the majority of his time at that house, if not all of it. It's really not what I wanted to talk about. But no offense, Mr. Beard, but you shouldn't be there either. No offense. The least, someone just mentioned about the most qualified applicant. The most qualified applicant isn't going to end up here, right? Because that might interfere with one of you getting elected again, right? Isn't that what it's all about? We've got one appointee, then elected. We've got another appointee. Once you are now on that platform, it's real hard to get you off, isn't it? I'm not happy. I'm not happy that we've got two people up here that never would have ran for office that are sitting up here. The Bruce and Bill City Council is what we have, a dictatorship. That's what we have. Robin Marcario should have been up here, but she would be a threat to one of you getting reelected or elected if you're going to run for council. Isn't that not true? You don't want Robin Marcario. You don't want anyone up here that might defeat you, because now they'll be on an equal playing field. She expressed that she wanted to be up there. Nobody else expressed that except Charles Mitchell and maybe one other person. You know, she had the next highest amount. You conveniently mentioned that somebody was the runner-up in the last election, as though that's so brilliant. You know, that was a person that ran that didn't even try to win anything and still got how many votes? 13,000? What do you call those kind of votes? Protest votes against the ones that are the incumbents. You know, politics sucks. I think that's the only way you can put it, especially when we've put ourselves in this city, in this position where you guys are picking our council members, not us. We're not picking our council members. We didn't pick you, Chris Beard. We didn't pick Steve Jones. There's probably not 1% of us that ever had heard of you. There's at least 20, there's a lot of people that have heard of Robin Marcario. And like I said, there's no offense, and I hope you do a good job, but you shouldn't be up there. You know, and I'd like to think that you have some consideration for that Robin Marcario ought to have been in that seat. At least admit it. You know, and at least you guys could have given her a vote. You didn't even give her a vote last week, right? You didn't even call her name, and the minute her name was going to be next, it's a funny thing, the next person, you were in the right position, you were next. This is all upsetting, and I hope that one day that we're not in a city where we have a dictatorship. I can't think of another way to put it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll close oral communications. A couple of things, Mr. Powell. I did call your name last council meeting, and you had left. And you can check with all the people that were here if you doubt that. Or you could watch reruns of the council meeting if you like to. I'm not going to get into the other things because, well, maybe I will. Everybody on this council, barring this person, okay, Steve was appointed. Steve, I voted against his first appointment, if you recall. I voted my conscience, who I felt, not who you felt, obviously. And you know what? That's the greatest thing about America. Because if I think that I can do a better job on city council, I can run for it, and if I'm lucky, or if I work hard, or whatever, I get elected. I never got appointed to anything here. I got elected, and I worked at it. And I venture to say that if you were willing to put the time, the money, the effort into it, you would have the opportunity the same as I did. You know, people talk about runner-up. When it was discussed in 1990, it was an advisory. I don't think, were you there, Mr. Broadwater, when I was done? Okay, you're the only one on council that was there. It was advisory only. It was not mandated that the next runner-up gets the job. And in fact, as Mr. Broadwater pointed out at the last council meeting, the last runner-up was Mr. Ibarra. Now, you say, oh, well, this seat is the one before that. No, you know, it's an open seat. There's a vacancy, and anybody's entitled to run for it. And that's what happens, or be appointed to it. And I nominated people that weren't selected that night. Most of us did. So, you know, to think that there's some preconceived notion to keep somebody off of the council, they're only off by their own limitations. Whether they want to, when I ran the first time and several times after that, I knocked on more doors in this city than anybody ever had done in the past, and I don't think has done since, to be honest with you. I did a lot of things. I worked hard at it. And that opportunity, everybody out here that's of age and a resident of the city of Garden Grove has that opportunity if they want to do it. Now, because the person that you feel should have been appointed wasn't, you know, I'm not even going to address that. You weren't in a position to appoint somebody. This council was in a position to appoint people or a person. And we took our charge and we did it. Now, again, because it wasn't someone that you thought should have been, well, you know what? There's a whole lot of Republicans that think a Democrat shouldn't be a president now, and I'm sure whoever is in office the next time around, if there's political parties, they're going to feel the same way. That doesn't mean the person didn't earn it, didn't work for it. And again, did we hold the cards till the end of the meeting, yeah, we held the cards on the appointments. Towards the end, we made it its own oral communication because that's where it was listed on the agenda. We had oral communications prior to that. Everyone here was given an opportunity to come up and speak. They would have been given an opportunity to speak twice. In fact, I think one or two did. I think Charles Mitchell may have spoken twice. I'm not sure. But the opportunity was there. Now, you left early. I take these cards the way they're handed to me. I don't look through and pick who I want to go first or second or third, because everybody knows that when I came on this council, I made it a point, and I fought even battles, that everybody should have a minimum of 5 minutes. Other cities do 3 minutes. Other cities will say, you've got 15 people that are speaking on the same subject, have a spokesman or spokeswoman, or 1 or 2 or 3 or 5. We've offered that opportunity before, but never deprived anyone the opportunity to speak. You know, you fought the battle, whether Andrew Doe lived in the city or not, I don't know. That was not one of my responsibilities to follow him around. If you felt that he didn't live in the city and you wanted to make a point of it, then you have certain obligations you do yourself. I don't know. As far as I knew, he lived in the city. I think that there's no question about anybody else that's on the council here living in the city. But there's always going to be people that are upset whether you appointed this person or that person or whatever. And again, as I said, if you listen carefully, the way that went, I nominated people that were not appointed. And you know what? That's the way it happened. There's nothing I can do to change it. I think that Chris will probably be a very good council person. He got the opportunity, and I'm sure he's going to run with it. Yes.
Rod, you know something, I have a lot of respect for you. I really think you're a fine man, and I support a lot of what you've done, especially with people not living here. And I think that the prosecutor, what's his name? The district attorney. I mean, basically...
Sonny Rackakis?
Yeah, Rackakis. I don't believe that he goes into it thoroughly enough about people not living where they should. Rob Hurt was a senator for 4 years in this area. He lived in Anaheim Hills. It just wasn't fair and everything else. But you could go to the district attorney and they wouldn't do anything about it. But last week, I think you're wrong. And I really disagree with you. We had 32 names. And out of those 32 names, we got rid of 3 of them because they definitely weren't qualified. One of them didn't live in the city, and 2 of them weren't registered a voter. That may be, I got that wrong, but maybe vice versa. But I went through everybody that we had a list of, the 32, scratched off the 3, and there were left 29, and I picked out 7 people that I thought could fill that seat. Not 1, not 2, but 7. Robin was one of them. And Robin came in here last week, and she had a lot of people supporting her. I mean, it was really great. But she was not the 3rd person, and I did point that out. I pointed out that in the vote, they recommended that you put the 3rd person in the last election, which would have been Mr. Ibarra. And the truth of the matter is, Robin has been the 3rd person several times. She was in 4 races ago. I can't think of the guy's name, but he came in 3rd, and Robin came in 4th or 5th. And she did not think he was qualified. He was 3rd place, and she didn't think he was qualified. She came to my house and talked to me. I was leaving the council at the time, and she wanted to know what she could do to get to the council to appoint somebody more qualified like herself than the 3rd person. And I told them, I said, I had no idea who they're going to appoint. I'm not on the council anymore. I'm off, and they haven't told me who it's going to be. But I seen Robin work both sides of that 3rd person. Robin is a politician. You say she's not a politician. Robin's a politician. She comes up here and she steals the announcements from the mayor sometimes, and sort of makes funny for me. I watch her do it, and I think that's funny because it does it the mayor, you know. But the truth of the matter is, Robin will be on this council someday if she really wants it, if she works hard enough at it. I mean, everybody thinks that I have been here on this council, but they forget that I lost 3 races before I won one. I mean, I went through the drill, and I was in 3rd place 8 elections ago, and those guys weren't about to put me on the council. and I can understand why. I'd call them all names and everything else, I thought they were running the city bad. Rod, get over this. You're a great guy. Don't let this affect you. Thank you.
Okay, a couple other things. On Mr. or Mrs. Long, I'm going to have somebody contact you next week. I'm not exactly sure how much, as far as Twin Lakes, we really have input. But we're going to have somebody contact you and discuss it. I'm not sure that we can change it. I just want you to know that. But at least, we'll have a little bit of dialogue and be able to, some of the facts that you gave are very interesting, and if they're accurate, it may be of a concern. So we will look into that, and I have your phone number on here, and someone will get back to you. Yes, I'm sorry.
I'd like to talk to Mr. Long also, because he mentioned something about having electricity running those pumps instead of the gas. Well, if electricity ran those pumps, then by the law, there has to be something there to generate electricity in case the electricity doesn't work. Like most buildings, hospitals, and everything else, they have an electric generator. They have a diesel generator. Now, I can't think of a diesel generator, which has to be kicked over every 2 or 3 weeks to make sure it's still running, doesn't blow off much more dirt than the gas pumps. So I don't know whether you're right one way or the other, but it seems to me it doesn't make much difference. You're going to come up with dirt either way.
Did I say young or long? Okay, because you look young. So if I said young by mistake, okay, Ms. Wynn, you had a comment?
Yes, I'm supportive of the residents over at Twin Lake. If any chance at all they get to participate in any of the process, then he's trying to fill them in and get them involved. And as far as Mr. Broadwater's statement and complaint regarding the business next to his insurance company, I'd like the city staff to look into and investigate specifically into public nuisance violation, public nuisance only.
Yeah, and as far as the marijuana goes, I'm glad that you brought that up because I had it in my notes, but I skipped it a minute ago. There are so many things going on right now. There's so many cities that have court battles going on, ordinances being rewritten, the state, everybody's involved in it. And believe me, it's frustrating for us, too. We don't like to see it. But we'll have to be very honest with you, kind of keep you posted. We're looking, as I say, rewriting our ordinance to include a longer distance away from preschools and all these other things. We're also looking at a city ordinance. In fact, I mentioned, and I think, Steve, I didn't know that you had mentioned, about an ordinance against convicted sex offenders being able to even go into a city park and that's being looked at too. But there are a lot of things that are going on, and with the marijuana, it's tough because the feds and the state have two different opinions on it. But we're trying to resolve it, and I'm sure that you can imagine my background being law enforcement that I really don't like to see any of this. Yes, Mr. Broadwater.
I want to comment on the marijuana thing too. I mean, basically, how soon are we going to be back with that again?
Your plan is to come back in a closed session, either next meeting or the meeting after.
Well, let's kick it. Let's put it in high gear. I mean, we've got a plan. We decided on a plan, and I know that got that got derailed. I guess a better way of putting it. I want it put back on the track, and let's move with it. I really am. I really do.
Hey, Ms. Wynn.
Yes. Earlier, you saw there were a lot of press here, and Mr. Fatbu speaking. Well, in general, the truth is the truth of its whole, and it's not half-truth only. And you can't smear the truth with a well-written speech that you wrote out and intended to color the truth. First of all, I pointed out, and I hope that the Daily News would correct in the newspaper that they said Mr. Fatbu pressured me regarding the city appointment. That is untrue. Mr. Fatbu does not have the ability to pressure me. He does not have that ability with the help of his business friends who are prospective donors who, as Mr. Gary Tan claimed in his letter, he admitted he set up that meeting. It was a setup. I have no intention of meeting Mr. Fatbu, did not know he was there, and did not know all the business people were there. Mr. Gary Tang admitted he supported Fat Bowie. He's biased as to the letter. Secondly, when they pulled in Mr. Andy Quatch, the city council member of Westminster, I do not appreciate that because they thought Mr. Andy Quatch would be able to influence me. That is untrue. He is not able to do that. As Mr. Andrew Doe had made a statement before he left this council. He said he came into this council because he thought he was trying to fix a clique. And he mentioned a certain city. Well, I do not have a clique with council members from the other city. I owe my allegiance to the people of Garden Grove, not another council member. And as proven truth, even though they asked Mr. Andy Quatch to come, I did not select the person that they lobbied me to select. Secondly, Mr. Fat Bowie went to the press and made certain statements saying I fabricated certain statements during the appointment. Well, that is untrue also. As seen tonight, those press here were not interested in what I have to say regarding those statements. They left as soon as Mr. Fat Bowie left. Therefore, they are not interested in giving the people full information. And I'm just going to take a minute to read a very well-written article from our Garden Grove Journal. Longtime public employee and community activist Chris Beard is settling into his new role as a Garden Grove City Council member after being appointed and sworn in Tuesday. All of the other 4 active council members were voted into the position. Chris Beard's opportunity to serve came by simply filling out an application and being appointed by the council on a 3-to-1 vote. Please be reminded that was a council decision, not a Dina Nguyen council member decision. I am not a loner in this. All the applicants were outstanding, Mr. Beard said. I don't feel more qualified than others, but hopefully I was picked because they saw me bringing a level of expertise to the council, and I think I am someone they can work well with. The expertise 55 refers to come from his many years of work for Orange County. He started working for Garden Grove as an intern 30 years ago and has been a Garden Grove planning commissioner for 4 years. Other experience on his resume included working as an administrative manager for Orange County Community Resources Agency for over 25 years and serving 3 terms as the city clerk for Signal Hill. That was an elected position by the people of Signal Hill. He is not new to this. The decision to appoint Beard was made after Councilmember Andrew Doe resigned April. The 20-year Garden Grove resident was chosen out of 33 applicants, including those running up in the 2008 election, Robin Macario. This is a tough situation for the city council, Councilmember Bruce Water commented. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And Mr. Beard, go
May
ahead.
I just quick comment if this goes on? Mr. Powell, no offense taken. Is he still here?
He left, I think.
Okay. With that, thank you for those comments, Councilmember Nguyen. When I was here in the audience that night, I heard loud and clear that all the council members, Mayor Pro Tem, had expressed their desire to have an election. All of us would have liked that. But as a cost-saving measure of anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000, there was a savings to the city. This position needed to be filled. You can't just have a potential 2-2 council vote or a member not being present to where you don't have a quorum. I applied, as Councilmember Nguyen mentioned. I felt qualified to do so. I understand that the council, through Measure B, as an advisory measure, took that into consideration. They also took into consideration the cost of an election. Now, if I am to serve on this council as an appointment through the period of 18 months, the decisions I make here going forward are the decisions I'll make for the benefit of the citizens of Garden Grove, appointed or elected. I represent all of Garden Grove, whether I'm elected or appointed. And in an election coming up in the year 2012, the validation will be at the ballot box. Did I do a good enough job for the citizens? That is my intent. That will always be my intent. I appreciate the council trusting me, and I hope to validate that trust. I have to prove it to the citizens, and I have to prove it to the voters in 2012. That is my intent, and that's what I will do. I do live in the city. If Mr. Powell is interested. I have for the last 20 years. At the end of last meeting, I gave some personal information about myself, and that information was provided in the thought of having to provide that information through a screening process to interview all the applicants. I expected to go through an interview process. I delivered those statements and told who I was. It came out in the paper since. And so that's who I am. That's what I intend to do. And I do intend to validate the trust of the council and the voters, the citizens of Garden Grove. So with that, I want to move forward and serve as your representative on the city council.
Thank you. Okay, number 5, written communications.
We have a request from the Sister City Association to help with some emergency funding. And before we consider this, member
Mr. Mayor?
needs to make
Yes,
a statement.
I have to make a comment here. My son is a part of the student exchange program this last spring, and as such, to the Sister City of Anyang, and as part of the program, the Sister City provided some money for half the airfare to go to South Korea. And as such, because I consider this a financial interest, I'd like to abstain from this, recuse myself, and leave it this time.
Okay, please do so. Okay, Mr. Fertel.
We have a request from the Sister City Association to help with some funding that they may have had some expense overruns in their last trip to send the exchange students to Korea and hosting the students here from Korea. We do have some money in a fund that was set up by our disposal company for city events and cultural events. And so we do recommend to accept their request for $1,000 to be paid for out of that special fund.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Okay, now we'll recess the council, and I need this water. My throat's dry. Okay, we'll recess the city council and go to the agency.
At this time, we'll open up the Agency for Community Development. Ms. Baylor, will you please call roll?
Member Beard?
Here.
Member Dalton?
Here.
Member Jones?
Here.
Vice Chair Wynn?
Here.
Chair Broadwater?
Here. Okay, we've gone through public input, and we had no closed session. Let's go with the minutes, consent items.
Just a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
We have no public hearings. We have no items for consideration. Matters from agency members and director, anything? At this time, we will adjourn until June 14th, 2011.
Okay, before we resume the council, why don't we go ahead and take a 5-minute break? And if some of you students have to have those things signed, bring them up now. Huh?
They get to go.
So you don't have to get stuck there all night. How's that? Okay, let me see.
How you doing?
That's okay. Hey, one mayor signature goes for 2 council people. They're worth that. You're welcome. Anybody got one? Come on. Come on down.
Small world, huh?
Cool, thanks.
There you go.
Hello.
You're welcome. That way you guys don't get stuck sitting here listening to all this boring stuff.
No, I don't think so. You can just have it.
It is. Guys, tell your teacher, why don't we just have 1 line next time instead of 3, huh? You're welcome.
City manager.
Okay, I'd like to call the Garden Grove Sanitary District meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Member Beard?
Here.
Member Broadwater?
Here.
Member Jones?
Here.
Member Wynn?
Here.
President Dahl?
Here. Okay. I'll start with the reorganization of the Sanitary District Board. Basically what that is, I'm the president, and I was voted in last time, and we had a vice president, Andrew Doe. Since he's no longer here, we need an alternate for the Sanitary District.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that we make Chris Baird the new vice president of the Sanitation District, Sanitary District.
Okay, I'll second the motion, or somebody else did. Okay, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay. Consent items.
Mr. President, you have 2 items to consider, and it's recommended that you act on these simultaneously unless a separate discussion is requested by a member.
Move the issue.
Second.
Okay, motion second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, let's see. We also appoint an alternate to the Orange County Sanitation District, and that actually has already been done because the vice president, we'll go ahead and go through the motions, but you're it anyway, Chris.
Okay.
So this is democracy. I nominate you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, call for the vote.
Actually, you're not voted in at all on this. It's in the when we took over the Sanitary District, you are automatically the head of the sanitary.
Right.
Okay. But we usually vote
Motion
on it
received,
every...
5 yes votes.
Okay.
Well, if I'd have known that, I'd have voted against it because that's not proper.
If I'd have known that, I would have let you vote against me. Okay. See, no public hearings. Any matters from any board members? Okay, hearing none. We'll adjourn the Sanitary District to the next meeting, Tuesday, June 14th at 6:30 p.m. here. And we'll reconvene the council.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and you can go to consent calendar, and it's recommended that items 6A through 6F be acted on simultaneously unless a separate discussion or action is requested by a council member.
Move the balance.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, 8A, Main Street Assessment.
Yes, Ann Eifert is here to give a staff report on the resolution for establishing the assessment for the Main Street District.
Thank you, Mr. Fatal. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, on April 12, 2011, as part of the annual Main Street assessment process, City Council approved the district's fiscal year 11-12 budget and ordered staff to prepare the required engineer's report in accordance with the Landscape and Lighting Act of 1972. Today, you have before you the engineer's report requiring your approval and a resolution declaring the intent to levy and collect assessments for the next fiscal year. The proposed assessment reflects no increase from the current year. Staff recommends that City Council approve the engineer's report, adopt the attached resolution declaring its intention to levy and collect an assessment for fiscal year 11-12, and to set a protest hearing regarding the assessment for June 28, 2011. This concludes my report, and staff is available to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for staff?
Move the issue.
Second.
Have motion second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Okay, the next is items for consideration.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Just to make an announcement here, I was a part of the planning commission that had already voted on this, so for the sake of dispelling any conflict of interest, that this item has not been prejudged by me, I want to exclude myself from this item.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, item 9A is the initiation of proceedings for a street vacation. And this is a portion of Harbor Boulevard related to the Water Park Hotel site. And Lee Marino is here to give a staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. The item before you tonight is a request for City Council to set a hearing date in order to take the appropriate action to vacate the Harbor Boulevard Service Road, which is located on the west side of Harbor Boulevard, north of Garden Grove Boulevard, and south of Lamson Avenue, to remove underutilized public right-of-way and thereby facilitate the future development of the area. In January of this year, the city approved the final entitlements for a development of a water park hotel facility on property that's located on the west side of Harbor, north of Garden Grove and south of Lamson. The project did include the incorporation of the Harbor Boulevard Street Service Road into the project. In April of this year, the Planning Commission made the determination that the proposed vacation of the service road did conform to the city's general plan. The service road only provides pedestrian and vehicular access to those properties that are encompassed by the water park hotel facility. No other properties gain access to the service road. After vacation of the service road, both pedestrian and vehicular access to the water park facility and the surrounding area will remain and therefore will not impact existing circulation in the area. Furthermore, the street vacation is in keeping with the spirit and intent of the city's general plan. With that, it is requested that the City Council set a public hearing date of June 28, 2011 for the vacation of the Harbor Boulevard Service Road and adopt a resolution that reads as follows. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove declaring its intention to proceed with street vacation SV 11911 to vacate and abandon the Harbor Boulevard Service Road located on the west side of Harbor Boulevard, north of Garden Grove Boulevard, south of Lamson Avenue, and fixing the time and place of a public hearing thereon. And that would conclude staff's report.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to move approval.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
Mr. Mayor, 9B is a award of contract to CS Legacy Construction for the installation of an electrical switchgear and water splash pad for the Atlantis Play Center. And Kim Hoy is here to give a staff report on this item.
Mayor and members of the City Council, tonight staff is requesting that you approve a contract with CS Legacy Construction for the installation of electric switchgear and splash pad improvements at Atlantis Park. For some time, staff has been working on developing plans and coordinating the electrical switchgearing that would allow for the development of the splash pad at Atlantis Park. While there were 9 contractors who attended the pre-bid meeting, only 2 contractors submitted bids, and of those, CS Legacy Construction was selected as the lowest responsible bidder. There are $300,000 in CDBG funds that have already been approved for the use in this project, and staff is requesting that the City Council authorize the use of park development funds to be used for the remaining amount. And staff is available to answer any questions that you may have regarding the project.
So what you're saying then is that no money is taken from the general fund for this?
Correct.
Okay, great. That's great to hear, especially in this time. Mr. Broadwater.
Is that splash pad concrete?
No, it's a soft surface.
A soft surface? I just wanted one person out in the audience to know that that was not concrete.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to say that, what's CVG stand for? Let's get that out.
California Development Block Grant.
California?
Sorry, Community Development Block Grant. Right.
It's been a while since
I know.
that department.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's.
it's federal funds.
I'd like to say that I'm really for this. I really, I love kids playing in water, and if you have water, the kids will be there. I think this is a fantastic thing. I think it'll increase the draw at Atlantis Park, and I know that over in San Pedro they have the red cars, the old Pacific Electric red cars running along the harbor there, and they have these 2 big ponds, and it's, I mean they have music comes over the speaker system, and the fountains come out of the ponds and everything else. And their major problem is keeping kids out of those ponds. I mean, I took my kids down there and I had to fish them out. They were down there in the water. So I just think this is great. I love it. And contrary to some people, I'm going to vote for this.
Well, I think it adds to the different fund that kids can have at Atlantis is a great place. I mean, it's probably the most awesome park in the city of Garden Grove. It's really great. Yeah, I think someone mentioned earlier, you can go there, you can have a birthday party with your kids, and it's secure, you feel safe there. Everything is geared towards kids, and you can have a lot of fun in a somewhat secluded area, and it's really great. And so adding this, I think, is just one more gem in that jewel or whatever of the Garden Grove, and I'm happy to see it. I asked the same questions, by the way, because I didn't know. I thought it was concrete. I've seen them other places, and in fact, I was joking with the city manager this morning. I was saying, you know, in heat, I mean, I'm from Northern California, but yet, if you see all the old movies and everything, when it was 80 degrees or higher in New York, everybody turned the fire hydrants on to keep cool. Well, here we're going to turn the water on, and is it going to be recirculated?
Yes.
That's another bonus for us, too. We don't just lose the water going out to the ocean. It's recirculated and filtered and everything, too, so it's clean water, and the kids can have a great time. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Item 10.
Mr. Mayor, item 10 is a ordinance for second reading, and that's ordinance number 2792, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove amending sections 5.70, .020, and 5.70.030 of and Chapter 70 of Title 5 of the Garden Grove Municipal Code relating to regulation of coffee houses.
Move the issue.
Okay, I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Call for the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
Same appointment.
Yeah, same appointment, same guy, Chris. Okay, we're nominating you, and where's that second?
Second.
Yeah, you're it again. Call for the vote. But we want you to be more well-rounded than just one committee.
Councilmember Brown.
Oh, wait a minute, what's next? Appointment to the Orange County Public Library.
He can't do that.
That's right.
Here, I have to make a
Disclosure.
We're not done voting.
We're not done voting. It
No?
didn't get. Motion received, 5 yes votes.
There we go.
Okay, now you can leave.
Yeah, for the next item, I work for the County of Orange for the OC Community Resources Agency. As a part of that agency is OC Public Libraries is under that. So it may constitute a conflict of interest.
Okay.
To be a part of that advisory board. So I want to recuse myself from that.
I have a question for staff. Does this have to be an elected official, this library position?
Yes, it does. We checked, and it has to be elected position.
I'm excusing me.
Okay, yeah, why don't you go ahead and go while we nominate somebody.
I nominate Mr. Jones.
I have 4 straws if anybody wants to.
I nominate, did you nominate Mr. Jones?
Yes.
You know, I think I can second that.
You know, well, I'm not
I meet once a quarter.
sure I'm up for it.
think
Once
yeah,
a quarter?
Huh?
Once a quarter?
Yeah, it's every 3 months, and
When, where? Daytime, nighttime, do you know?
actually, there's a meeting
4:30, 4:30 in the afternoon, 4
There's a
o'clock in the
meeting coming
afternoon.
up Thursday.
Thursday afternoon. In
This
fact,
Thursday.
Dina, do you
That'd
have
be the first meeting.
agenda with you? Or did you not bring it?
No, I think I have it. Yeah, it's Thursday. Third Thursday, right?
Who did it before?
Right here.
Andrew.
And, yeah.
Oh, I did it before Andrew.
And I did it for 7 years before that.
You did it for 7 years?
Yes.
You are a brave man.
I have a
Since you guys are pros, you
a
don't want it
sitter
back.
problem.
No, we want to share the wealth.
Now go ahead and share that with Councilmember.
Okay.
We haven't
See.
voted yet, but.
No, that's okay, this is precluding.
I mean, even if you can't attend Thursday, we still need an appointee, but if at all possible.
Yeah, all right, that's fine.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, call for the vote.
Motion received, 4 yes votes.
The sad part about the library is there's so many people on it, and they go through, and, you know, too many cooks spoil the broth. They have ruined it over there. They must have 25 cities representative on that, and they all have their say. And they were trying to, I mentioned this the other day at lunch, but they were trying to get another library at the Great Park, for the city of Irvine, so they went from person to person to person. And of course, I was the last guy they asked. And I told them, I said, that would make a great airport. So anyway, they didn't like my comment, but
I think that's why they asked we send somebody else. No, I'm only kidding. Okay, Mr. Broadwater, any words of wisdom?
I've done a lot of talking already tonight, and I just hope everybody has a great holiday. I noticed that my name is down here for happy anniversary along with Jones's. Well, I went to the first wedding and I went to the second wedding, so I went to both those weddings. The one was 40 years ago. So anyway, happy anniversary to you, Peggy. I love you, and I hope we can get another 40 years. So,
okay, Ms. Nguyen.
Happy anniversary, Councilmember Broadwater and Peggy, and Councilmember Jones and Manny. Hope you have a nice weekend for your anniversary, and we'll see you at the Strawberry Parade. I want to remind everyone to go out to the Strawberry Parade this weekend. It's really fun, especially on Friday around 5 o'clock. Is that right? That when we have the cake cutting of the biggest strawberry cake, probably in the world ever. And we never run out of cakes. So line up, no matter where you are, bring your kids. We don't run out of cake. Don't worry about the kids missing out on the cakes. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything. Also, we have the parade on Saturday. It starts around 9 o'clock and ends around 10 o'clock, and then afterwards you can go to the festival and support a foundation that's been supporting a lot of good programs in our city, especially the senior center, like the adult daycare and other activities in the cities. Also, I wanted to remind everyone to buy in Garden Grove. We have really new businesses that just opened up on Harbor Boulevard. It's fun to shop there, especially at Burlington's. They have a sale all the time. But I think this is what I found out when I went to Burlington. You have to get online and get the coupon, and that's the secret. So, buy in Garden Grove, and happy Memorial Day to all the veterans out there. Thank you for your service and for upholding the Constitution and our freedom and democracy.
Thank you. Mr. Jones.
Just a happy anniversary to Bruce and Peggy, and also to my lovely wife, Manny, and just really looking forward to the Strawberry Festival this weekend. Encourage everybody to get out there and be a part of it.
Mr. Beard.
I also want to echo happy anniversary, Councilmember Brower, Mayor Pro Tem. Bruce, I'm halfway there. Next month will be 20 years for me. I feel blessed and honored and happy to have my wife. I just want to make a comment as being a new council person. Last week I had the opportunity to attend the police memorial, and that was a very moving experience. I never had that chance before, but it really brought life to the plaques that I used to see in around that area. And it was very moving, very touching. I commend the police chief and the speakers who spoke that night. So that was it was a sad but yet worthwhile experience for me. We always remember them. And so I'm glad I attended and hope to attend in the future as well. On a happier note, I'm looking so forward to the Strawberry Festival. And I encourage everyone to go. My sons are really looking forward to it, too. So I'll see you Saturday and at all the other events. That's it.
Okay, happy anniversary, Steve and Manny and Bruce and Peggy. You mentioned the police memorial. They did it differently this year. They talked about the officers and their families, but this year they had, for each officer, someone that had worked with them relate some personal stories. So it kind of brought it brought a new dimension to it. I worked with 3 of them that were killed on duty. The first 2 I never knew, but they really, the chief should be commended. They really did a very nice job on it. Yes, let's all remember the veterans for the Memorial Day and for what they've done, those that gave their lives and those that are still fighting for us today, male and female, in all parts of the world. So not just the ones that gave their life, but let's remember those that are still living, and hopefully they all return home safely. Strawberry Festival, yes, you were right. That's the largest strawberry cake in the world, and in case, I don't know, you were probably told, but generally every year we're up there and we hand out pieces of cake to the crowd from the first piece given until the last piece, and they really do never run out of cake. But it is the world's largest strawberry cake, and it's great. And as far as the Strawberry Festival, the parade is awesome. The people that run it, the Strawberry Festival Association, are people to really be commended because they're all volunteers. I mean, they start working, they're working now. The concessions started coming in a few days ago, and they're over there taking care of things. They're setting up booths. They're lining up people to work, everything. And it's all for the community. It's all money that is either spent in Garden Grove or Garden Grove affiliated causes. But they all do it for nothing, and they have a great time doing it. And so I want to thank you for what you're going to do, and I'll hopefully remember to thank you again afterwards before next year. Thank you, and we'll adjourn this meeting till the next council meeting, Tuesday, June 14th, 5:30, right here in the council chambers.